Hey everybody, Damon Gettier with Realty Partners. And today I'm blessed to have with me a good friend of mine. I guess I can say good friend because we've been in business together for many, many years now. Jay Niblick. And Jay is, I guess you're the owner, president, CEO of Wizehire?
One of the co-founders and CEO, and then Sid and Nick, the other co-founders. Sid's president.
Okay. So your company, I found you years ago through a weird way, but the parent company of this was, what is this called?
Well, it grew out of Intermetrics, where Sid and I worked together over at Intermetrics, which is where the profiles. I wrote the disc and the values profiles at Intermetrics, um, and that's a company that sells those assessments through licensed professional consultants. And so those consultants are all over the world. We're at like 1,752 countries, I think, working with tens of thousands of organizations and millions of employees, but they're going through a consultant. So they're at a higher level in that pyramid of the organization and above. And, a lot of the smaller, medium-sized businesses we saw weren't going to get a $5,000, $25,000 consultant to come in and help them with hiring and initiatives and stuff like that. So Sid and I literally just said, how do we get something that can do this for all of these other people out there that need it for hiring at that size company? And Wizehire is a separate company that was started up just to bring that same benefit, but direct to users. So it's all the tools are there for them to use. They don't need a consultant.
So Wizehire, how long have y'all been in business as Wizehire now?
A little over 5 years. And
5 years.
I think, yeah, you might be like easily customer in the first five, I think. In real estate, you might have been one of the first few.
And so anybody that's watching this, if they have if they want a clue of how important I think it is, how many times have I stopped or paused with y'all since I started?
Goose egg. Zero.
Because one of the biggest things in real estate, I think, is everybody, if you're going to have a team, you need to realize a team or a brokerage, you always have to be hiring your agent's replacements. You need a bench. You always need a bench. A good friend of mine, Mike Novak, he equates his team to the Navy SEALs. And I said, that's good, but the Navy SEALs never won a war. The Navy has. And so you have to have a bench to draw from at all times. And so that's why you want to keep it running. And I don't pause anything. I don't pause job titles. I don't pause anything, because if someone quits or if I have to let someone go, I always want to have a bench of people to draw from.
I think where I love the way you guys look at it is like marketing. I mean, you were probably one of the first to maybe shift my brain that way and seeing that analogy of, you never stop marketing. Oh, I got a listing and a couple of buyers. I can turn everything off. Let me go deal with them. You never stop marketing. And the best teams that we see out there, they never stop marketing for candidates. I don't like recruiting. Why don't you just consider it marketing for candidates? Because it also follows over into the way you talk to them. You're building a brand that's got to be just as attractive as you would to buyers and sellers. And so it's marketing, not recruiting.
Correct. I agree with you 100%. So in that, we did a call before and we really didn't talk about the nuts and bolts. And so how much does Wizehire cost?
$199 a month. That's it, all in, for a single market, a metropolitan statistical area. So we don't do contracts. It's month to month. You use it as long as you need. And we do have some that, given the size of their team, they're not yet to that always marketing level. They could only afford to bring on 2 or 3, and then they need to onboard them. So they'll come in for 2-3 months, get somebody or two, go away for a month or two, and stand them up, and then come back and repeat. But it's $199 a month, no contracts.
No contracts. But that does include ad placement, correct?
That's everything. That's all in. So how it works is we're going to give you the best job descriptions. We think like marketers. So we're writing job descriptions that are storytelling, that are, ads, in other words, that you'll be putting out there that we'll do for you. And we're building the personality in, because we've written those disc and values assessments. There's certain keywords. Think like a salesperson. If I know I'm trying to hook a high D, or think like a fisher, a fisherman, I'm going to use that bait. And so when I write the job descriptions, or the team does, they're going to make sure they put in the right words about aggressiveness and competitiveness and freedom and fast pace and the ability to do this. And if I'm looking for an administrative assistant or an ISA or a TC or something, Now, I can't use words that I would describe as a team leader. What I think is cool about this practice, I've got to put in lots of stability and systems, and you know, and it's really one of the most fascinating pieces, because people will come in and be like, well, why aren't I getting the high D hunter gatherers I want? And you look at their job description and it says, we have all the systems, all the structure, all the policies, everything's in place, you know, and that sounds like a guy's getting ready to go sit in a library and file taxes. And it's just, they don't want to apply. So once we do that, we then post the job to the top 60 job boards for you, plus your social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. We'll build a careers page for your own website. We'll build it and we host it. You just take the code and put it behind a button on your website that says join the team. We're hosting it. And then all the applicants come in. We're giving them the DISC and the values assessments. We'll drip on them with emails over the course of a week to make sure they get it done. And once they're done, the real magic behind where we started was we built algorithms that's called a benchmark. And we know what's that profile for the listing agent, what is it for the buyer's agent, what is it for the TCs, and the system compares them against those top performer profiles and ranks them as excellent to poor. Because when you go in and you got that 5 minutes that you have between meetings to see somebody that you might want to hire, you want to quickly go to the top candidate first.
Right.
You know, in other words, in your world, it's the house that's $1.5 million and they, you know, the listing versus the list for $150,000. You want to go straight to the one that's, you don't want to get away. You know, if you got 50 applicants and the 49th was that perfect person, it's in the time that you have, you might be 2 weeks before you get back to them, or a week at best. They're probably gone. They're not waiting.
Go ahead.
They're not waiting. You know, you got to get to those best possible recruits fastest.
Now, speaking of that, so I use FirePoint, and one thing that I don't know how we did it. I got with you and I got with FirePoint, but we have all the applicants just auto-populate straight into a pond in FirePoint. Yep. So when we're calling them, we can use our dialer and we can just dial through them. Absolutely. That's something that you didn't charge me to do. So if you need me to shut up now, tell me to shut up. But you didn't charge me to do it. You and FirePoint made it happen. So. Yep.
We have Zapier capabilities. We have exports that can go into Salesforce, Sync, Zapier. So these are all different, we call it APIs, application protocol interfaces, where you can actually have our system talking to an outside computer. And so a lot of the people do use Commissions Inc. for their CRM. Salesforce is pretty popular. Zapier is an automation tool that allows you to connect to other ones as well. And that's all we did with FirePoint. So yeah, we can make that happen for other people as well. And then it's just the systems talk to each other. You're not manually having to take data from one to the other.
Okay, so everybody talks about using Wizehire to hire agents.
Yep.
I know that's not all you do. And you and I have actually worked together on some job descriptions before, trying to tweak them to get better personalities. What positions can someone use Wizehire for?
Any. So yes, we started in real estate. That's where we specialized, and still to this date is that vast majority of our client base. But we have about 280 separate job benchmarks, and it's growing every week. And so lawyers, manufacturing reps, contracts, physicians, nursing, healthcare, hospitality, restaurant, front and back house. We've got jobs all over the place. We've got a franchise that just specializes in going around and picking up what your dog leaves in the yard. And we actually have a benchmark for who makes the best dog doo-doo technician, believe it or not. But you know what? If these people are out there by the roads, and there's hundreds and hundreds of franchises around the country, it takes a certain personality to be fine and stay and do that. There's something about that correlates with the people that stay long-term. So anything, and in real estate, absolutely. I mean, there's not a single benchmark we haven't already created.
So in real estate, you have real estate agents, buyer's agents, listing agents, ISAs, admin, sales manager,
admin manager, recruiter, team leader, brokers. We've got people that come in and they're doing an expansion and they want to first find a managing broker, a broker of record in an area. We got a benchmark for brokers. So top to bottom, soup to nuts. Buyer's agents, we have 2. this was pretty interesting. We didn't expect to need two different types. We went out into the world and started back when you were just getting started. We started seeing, wait a minute, how is this the best buyer agent in your shop? That makes no sense. And it clearly, just through a statistical kind of lens, we said there's breaking out into two camps. And when we started talking to the team leaders and the brokers in those spots, we would realize, wait, they're giving them massively qualified leads that an ISA has been nurturing, and basically said, I'm going to schedule you for 2:30 on Wednesday to meet our buyer specialist. And then the others were calling them buyer agents, but they were 80%, you get your own leads. You know, I mean, I'll give you some off of the Zillow feed or something like that, but you mostly hunt and deal with buyers. Here, I'm just feeding you. You're a chick, you know, and it's already pre-processed food and I'm putting it in your mouth. But they both call them buyer's agents. So one's, we'll call it a hunter buyer agent, one's called a helper buyer agent. And our coaches, we call them hiring coaches. That's our internal support staff that interface with you guys. They're trained and expert at getting with you and saying, what do you need? What's the right benchmark for how you run your shop? So we know. Because if you don't have an ISA and you're just saying, hey, you're a buyer agent, you get the wrong type, they're just going to be that chick that sits in the nest waiting for, you know, you to dump food down their throat, which is nothing. I'm not saying that in a derogatory way. That's great. It's believe it or not, that's the majority of the buyer agents we've profiled. Probably 65, 70%. You know, they'll do all that. They just won't hunt.
The amazing thing for me has been the admin, because who usually test well in admin, when you get them in there, the interviews are underwhelming. And when you don't hire that underwhelming person and you wait for the great personality, and the great personality, the test score is like, not too good, and you hire that great personality, then they suck. And you finally kind of look at, hold on, let me go back to those people who tested well and didn't interview well, hire them. Then after a month or two, all of a sudden the personality starts to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that personality of a great admin. They're not the person that's just your high eye. They're just not.
Many times can be, exactly. So, you know, and this is just pure personality, 101 here. So I've got, two different personality types. There's just a well-known, empirically shown truth, and that personality types, behaviors from a disc standpoint, because it's observable, it's the first things that we see of each other. The closer they are together, normally the more they get along. And the further apart they are from each other, usually they don't. And so it's one of the first places where interpersonal dislike or conflict shows up. So I'm a high DI and I'm doing the interviewing. I'm going to probably not like anybody that sits in that seat that's different than me. They're pedantic, they're asking tons of questions. I'm all emotive and, oh yeah, hey, how's it going? Did you see the game last week? And oh shit, this, and they're like just reserved, and I have 30 questions prepared, and let me go to my facts. And you ask them a question and they stop and they look down to line 12 and go, yes, that number would be. You go, oh, and in an emotional sense in the interview, you go, that sucks, that was horrible. But you're right, what you're describing is the reality that you see manifest, where the guy comes in and the lady comes in and they're like you go, awesome, dude, I can see them on the team tomorrow. But then you realize, I just hired myself to do the job that I shouldn't be doing.
And that they won't do well.
Yeah, they won't. And so when I find somebody that does great at the job, their personality is probably not going to be, totally in line with mine, and they're going to seem weird and awkward. A big benefit of using the system is everybody gets a team report. When you sign up in your account, we'll send you a link. It's in there actually. And you can give it to everybody on the team. And we plot all of them onto one board, and then I actually usually will be the one to do it, and I'll debrief that with that team leader, because that's the thing you see too is, well, you're way up here, but your style is that when you walk in, kick in the door and say blank blank blank, and the admin, you think that's all I got to say. They think you're angry at them,
right?
And what did I do? Why are they pissed at me? And you're like, I'm not just pissed, I got 23 things going on, and I didn't look at you while I'm juggling, I'm sorry. Different personalities perceive things differently. So having that team report is fantastic, not from a hiring standpoint as much as just managing the office.
Maintaining
types. Yeah, figuring out what is it that I keep doing to screw up with these people, and why are they pissing me off? Really, that's what it comes down to.
So one of the things I hear in different groups around the country is, you don't need to pay for the disc. You just go to Tony Robbins, Google Tony Robbins disc, it pops up and it gives you the disc report for free. And you and I talked about that, and you want to explain that for me?
Yeah, Tony's an old friend. I taught Tony the profiles when 16, 17 years now, I guess it is, maybe almost 18. I'd fly out there to San Diego and on the phone and stuff. And I taught him the science of axiology and the profiles I was writing at Intermetrics. He was an early client of ours, customized them for his entire Robbins Research International, the RRI group that he really runs out there. And we even made up sales copy for their sales staff that I then flew out and trained, where they would use Salesforce. And that discussion I was talking about, we had the same API application interface there. The profile would dump into their Salesforce. The salesperson would pick up the phone to call Mrs. Smith and go, I'm getting ready to call a high S altruistic. And they'd get the script up and go, hi, Mrs. Smith, how are you today? Isn't it sunny? So they used that for years and years and years. Great guy, him and Sage, his wife. But the profile on the website, the way they were using it, we had to terminate. We had to turn it off. And again, not to really any fault of their own, but the way their site grew out was intended for something different than the original understanding. And it was for his clients, but it was getting bastardized and taken from the website and being used by hundreds of thousands of people a year that weren't doing anything with Tony. And that's not what he was looking for, and that's not what I was looking for. So I think you can still get a free assessment on their site. It's not mine. We did the exact same thing with Dave Ramsey. Again, no fault on theirs, but they wanted to put something out that was more general for the public. And, we just decided to find different ways to do that. So the only place you can find ours online is if you come join Wizehire. And you get them unlimited with that account. So you can have thousands of applicants coming in. Doesn't matter. We're not charging for that report. It's built into the service for $199 a month. Yeah. And, and there's some that'll go out there and go, I don't need the profile, or I don't need any of that. It's the sourcing, it's the screening that's used in the assessment, and it's the benchmark. Now, I don't want to insult anybody out there watching this, but if you go to your masterminds, you'll hear people go, oh yeah, well, for this role, you got to have a high D. And that's all they say. Not you guys, but I mean, you see it out there.
Right.
All 4 scores are important, and I can have 78D that I'm looking for or 99D that I'm looking for. But if the C or the S or the I are wrong, it's going to dilute it, just like mixing 3 different colors for an Easter egg. It's not going to work. And it's the values, the 7 values that you're looking for have to be just spot on as well, because those are the 2 sides of the coin. If I'm motivated to do things, but don't have the talent to, well, that's no better than if I have the talent to, but I'm not motivated to. We see a lot of DIs that have no economic drive, and you put them into a commission sales role and they're a 90% altruistic. They just want to go out there and give everything away, So if you want to get just that report, you can try it. I hope it works for you. But if you're not listening to the right people on what it means, if you're not getting enough candidates and you don't have the ease of use of all of that in one system for $199 a month, then it's kind of like stepping over $1 to pick up a dime, if you ask me.
It also requires them to upload a resume, correct?
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of things. You can set up screening questions. Right there in the interface, you can ask your own questions. They can be fill in the blank, multiple choice. Do you have a license? How many years of experience? If you were a color, what would it be? Legitimate questions. But you can have those screening questions. Again, we make sure they answer all those before we're dropping them in front of you that says, excellent match. Then you take it over from there. And there's an applicant tracking system in there, an ATS. So it looks kind of like a software program called Trello for project management.
You mind showing us something?
Let's do that. So here's what it looks like when you go inside a system, right? You log into your dashboard. Here's the different jobs that are open, right? So, some guy that lives over in Roanoke, I guess. This is yours. And so you did give me permission to show this. Yep. But all the different jobs, because it's unlimited jobs in a single market again. So you could be looking for all these different places. and you click on any, you can see 206 candidates, right?
Yep.
Here's the briefing of it. It's live and you can do some editorial stuff. But if you click on it, it opens up the dashboard. And so here's the thing you want to pay the most attention to. The applicants, we've posted this job out to the top 60 job boards, Glassdoor, ZipRecruiter, Indeed, Monster, all of them. And there's 33 people who are an excellent fit. And they're all right here. There's 35 that are very good. And I'm a fan of hunting and very good too. You know, start with excellence, but I'll easily go to very good. Average and poor, again, this is proximity to the template. So excellent means, boy, if we want these scores, they're really close. And the poors would be pretty much the exact opposite. If I click on any one of them, opens up all the cool stuff. Here's my, it's taken a while to load the resume, but it would pop in there. I can download it as a PDF here. Here's the scores. These green boxes, this is what the computer's feeding off of. These are our benchmark. We want this score to get up into here. And we want this one, these three, to be somewhere in this range. And we want, you know, here's another way of looking at these are the words over here. You know, are they more driven by leadership or partnership? And it'll show you the fits that they are for other jobs that might exist in your company. You know, they're really good fits here. Would I put them into any other roles that you might happen to have open? Not down to these, but hey, here's some others that you have run in the past. Maybe you want to consider them for the office manager job because they may not have seen that out there on the internet. You can message them right here. You don't have to have, you know, 1,000 Gmails lost around trying to figure out who they are. Type your message, it gets sent out to them in an email, and their response will be on this side. It's like text. Your response back will be on that side. You can drag them around to different stages. One thing I don't like about Zoom is no matter where I move this little window, it's always where I'm going to go next. I can take Christina here, move her over to the next stage, because these are all qualified stages. I can rename them. So, and everybody does, you know, what's stage one in your process? I want Mary to look at the resume. Cool, what's stage two? Phone interview. What's stage three? I'm going to send them a, you know, whatever. All these, you can add new stages. You can have dozens of stages over here to the right, move them to disqualified, but that's all you got to do. You know, you move them around and every stage gets progressively thinner. You know, I might have a lot of people that are excellent personality fits, but I didn't like what I saw on the resume. So only so many are going to move to this first stage and then this one and that one. And ultimately, you know, you drop them into the hired stage.
So you and I've never talked about this, and it's something I do. You tell me what you think. So before we even call somebody, we look them up on social media and see if they are a jackass on social media.
It's very common. It's public social media is what a lot of candidates don't seem to remember. So, you know, there's some legal things that obviously people, you know, want to watch when they do that. Like we get a person that came in last month and said, I only want to hire females, you know, and of course we said, well, you can't put that in the job description and I don't want to ask any more questions.
Was it a male or a female?
It was a guy. It was a guy. Yeah. You know, that's just like, there was a line somebody put in one of the job descriptions. If you're not ready to make more money than your girlfriend can spend, you know, and again, so things that sometimes our coaches will come back to you and say, you may not want to do that. Looking online, that's their public face. And so, yes, I don't think there's anything wrong with you making that one of your first investigations in what we would call due diligence. Phone screens are another one. I mean, so many people jump right to, hey, when can you spend an hour? Or let's go to lunch. Like you can tell so much and it's normally this, you know, if I send an email out to you and you don't reply to it, maybe I'll send you a second one. But if you're looking for a job and this is the way you respond, what are you going to do with the leads that I spent a lot of money to get you?
Right.
And then if I call you at 3 o'clock and you don't answer, or some people have them call, you know, in, I'm sorry, man, you're dead to me. Unless you call me back 5 seconds later.
We had a guy that wrote a really, really good email to us, young guy. Really good email to us that he was, you know, don't hold my age against me. I'm a hard worker. I've been wanting this my whole life, blah, blah, at 18. and he missed 2 phone appointments in a row. And it's just, I don't care how much you want it. You know, when you wasted my time, you don't get it anymore.
I'm a Irish Scotch descent, and my old family crest from the Scottish side says facta non verba, and it means deeds, not words. So, you know, especially in sales, there's an old saying: the last thing a bad salesperson sold was themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and so yeah, I can listen to them all day long, and I've seen it. This is what we do. But it's activity, man. If you missed one call, I don't know if I'd give you a second, and if I do, which I have, but oh yeah, I'm with you. I'm like, you're dead to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that's just sales 101 right there. You
Yep.
know?
And recruiting 101.
Yeah.
You know? No, but there's other things that people like. You're hiring a salesperson and they'll look at the resume and go, oh, there's a typo. It's a salesperson. If you know DISC, I can't have a high DISNC. I can't. Like something's got to go up and something's got to go down. So when I want salespeople, are they going to be sloppy? Probably. Are they going to miss some typos? Absolutely. That's what TCs and admins are there for, because the salespeople of the world would never show up at closing because they got triple booked, or, you know, they're not as disciplined and missing of the details and organizational pieces. So don't, you know, make sure that what you're using to disqualify somebody is relevant to the job. But yeah, if I go to call you and you're not there, and you're there, it's any job. I'm sorry, admin, sales, I don't care. If that's what you're showing me you're going to be like before I even give you the job, then what do I expect? You know,
Right.
there's another saying.
Why am I disappointed when you did it after I hired?
Yeah, no, exactly. And then that's the other thing that we see oftentimes too. People will overlook. People will be like, oh, but and a lot of it's that personality. I love that dude, man. We got along so great. I can forgive all this stuff. Yep. And I have so many clients that call me and said, if the next time I ignore the advice on what the profile said and I hire him, you have my permission to drive to my house and smack me in the throat. You know, just because you override things that make sense and usually get into trouble.
So I'm going to put you on the spot here for a second. All right. So somebody's signing up with Wizehire. Like
Yep.
they sign up today. And by the way, everybody's watching this. Jay, how much have you ever paid me?
None.
None. Okay. So we actually have a discount code, which we can post under this that Jay's offered. But I pay for Wizehire every month, and I paid for Wizehire since day one. Jay's never paid me a penny. Just so everybody knows, I'm non-compensated, firm believer in Wizehire. But somebody signs up for Wizehire today. First 3 things they need to do to be successful with Wizehire. Because a lot of people say this doesn't work or that doesn't work because they never do it. So what are the top 3 things someone can do to be successful with using Wizehire?
1, use it. Okay. So we do have people that'll come in and they'll, like a diet or, you know, gym or something, they'll set it up, they'll get the job going, they go away for 7 days. You got to get in there and use it. You know, it's like any app or anything else. You can't get applicants coming in that sit for 5 or 6 days. And the sidebar to that is, and these are the top 3 things. It's funny you said that, because I could come up with the top 5, but I'll take the 3 off the top of the list. Is don't forget, this is marketing. When you guys put a job out there and 20 people apply and you don't get back to them in a week or a month, where do those people live? In your market. And do they own houses? Do they have family that own houses or want to sell houses? Do you think they're going to go around and tell their family, oh, I applied to that guy whose sign I see there in the yard, just drove past it. Yeah, never even had the, you know, courtesy to call me back. Oh, what an ass. You know, I'm not going to sell my house with him. So you're asking for candidates in a market of prospects for houses, by the way. Don't forget that. So that's number 1. Use it. Don't go in and then just ignore it for a week or 2. Number 2, lean on our hiring coaches. These ladies and men are excellent experts. They know everything about getting these jobs posted. They'll review your job description. They'll advise you on keywords. They'll make sure that it's operating. They'll monitor your account to make sure that the candidate flow is in, and they'll give you proper expectations as to how many you should expect. You know, because some of these guys come in and they're like, I want 100 applicants in a week, but I have to have a license with a minimum of 5 sides. And it's like, well, there's only 7 of those out there to begin with. So,
Right.
you know, don't get your hopes up. Side note on that, we see a lot of people putting up jobs as outside sales. They don't have any experience in real estate, and that's a big trend in the states in the country right now. Because you get somebody who knows how to hunt, you can teach them real estate. And then number three is when you're inside there. Well, we already talked about it. Trust the system. Okay. Use the system. Listen to the advice and ask for it. They'll do an onboarding with you. You go into chat or a phone call with one of the hiring coaches, say, well, you schedule an onboarding. They'll sit there for 45 minutes with you one-on-one on the phone, no additional charge, just you, giving you a private walkthrough, making sure you know how to use everything. But then trust the system is that third piece. If it says excellent fit or very good fit, unless there's something really different on the resume, those are all not nearly the important things. The excellence and the very goods we've just shown. They'll, and I know I'm biased, but I think you would say the same. I'll turn it around. I won't even put words in your mouth. If the profile says they're likely to be really good at doing the job, what's your success rate? What's your hit rate with that? And,
Very high. It's very high.
yeah. And
And
so
when I go
it.
against it and it says poor and I go against it, I pay.
Trust the system. So use the system, leverage our resources. Don't feel bad. Other people have literally said, I don't want to take all their time because we're not charging anything extra. They'll be on there for an hour with you if they want. That's what they love to do. And then trust the system.
Any parting words for everybody?
Listen to this, man, because the one thing we don't do is we stop at the front door, I always say. And the reason we love partnering with guys like you is we're not going to talk about the rest of the system. And so we might deliver fantastic talent to you, but if you don't know how to cook, it's just really expensive ingredients. So, listen to the holistic approach that Damon and Realty Partners are bringing out here, because that's just as important. But
No,
we'll help you get the talent to the door. But then what do you do with it? How do you monitor it, manage it, leverage it, so on and so forth?
And that's a whole other call there because, yeah, so many people want to hire somebody and then they're like, go sell.
Yeah.
If it were that easy, we'd all be instantly successful,
Exactly.
And it's just, yeah, it's a system. But yeah, Jay, I appreciate it. And you and I have been in business together for a long time and we'll continue to be in business a long time. And I appreciate you. I appreciate what you and your team do. I think my rep is Corey.
Yep.
I appreciate y'all and what y'all do for me and my business and look forward to the next 5 years.
Well, we really appreciate it. So anything you need, you let us know. And same with your friends out there. Just tell them to give us a call.
I will do it. And hopefully whenever this mess is over, we can see each other at an event again.
That's it. Live.
I'm about done with Zoom. Zoom and I used to be friends. Now I feel like every relationship I have, I'm going to talk to my wife next time it'll be on Zoom,
You gotta change your logo, Realty Partners Virtual or
Exactly.
Realty Partners Distant.
Yeah, distant learning.
Yeah. No, man. I look forward to it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, man. Bye.
All right.